Welcome to Beyond Origins, where we discover crazy facts. When we look back at history, we tend to think about the big turning points being decided by, brilliant generals or powerful leaders. But what if the most decisive, the most deadly commander in history wasn't even human?
Think about it. When you picture the great forces that have shaped our world, who pops into your head? Probably names like Alexander the Great, right? Or maybe Genghis Khan or Napoleon. These incredible strategists who led huge armies and literally redrew the map of the world. But what if I told you the deadliest commander of them all was never even alive?
Because it turns out, the most decisive force in some of history's most critical moments wasn't a person at all. It was the planet itself. We're talking about unthinking, uncaring forces like wind and rain and ice and mud, things that have shattered entire armies and brought empires to their knees.
So today, we're going to explore how nature has, time and again, gone from being just a simple backdrop for all the human drama to becoming the main antagonist. It's this unseen enemy that can topple the powerful, crush our greatest ambitions, and just completely rewrite the rules of war and survival, sometimes overnight.
Just let that sink in for a second. We love stories about human courage, right? Ingenuity overcoming impossible odds. But this is a totally different kind of story. This is about what happens when human will, with all its planning and confidence, just smashes head first into the raw, indifferent power of the natural world.
Okay, so for our first example, we're heading to the mud-soaked fields of France, way back in 1415, the legendary Battle of Agincourt. Now, on paper, this battle should have been an open and shut case. But, well, the weather had some very different plans.
I mean, just look at the sheer imbalance here. The French had this massive army of heavily armored knights. These guys were basically the tanks of their day, and they were facing a much smaller, exhausted English force made up mostly of archers. By all logic, this should have been a complete and total slaughter.
But then an unplanned commander entered the field. You see, days of non-stop freezing rain had turned the entire battlefield into this deep, thick, sticky pit of mud. So when the French knights charged, their heavy armor, their single greatest asset, suddenly became their biggest weakness. They just sank into the quagmire, completely stuck and helpless, which allowed the much more mobile English archers to just pick them off with terrifying ease. And the result? Well, it wasn't just a defeat. It was a muddy slaughterhouse. Knights who fell literally couldn't get back up. They were so weighed down by their armor and the mud that they actually drowned inside their own helmets. The battlefield itself had defeated what was supposed to be the mightiest army in all of Europe.
All right, now let's jump forward almost 500 years to a completely different kind of battle. This one isn't about conquest, it's about survival. This is the incredible story of the HMS Endurance, a ship that was built to conquer the very last frontier on Earth, Antarctica.
You have to understand, this ship was an absolute marvel of its time. It was specially reinforced to withstand the insane pressures of the polar regions. It carried the hopes of Ernest Shackleton and his entire crew, and it really embodied this human ingenuity, this almost unshakable belief that our technology could overcome any natural obstacle.
But Antarctic pack ice, it's a different kind of enemy. It doesn't attack you, it just surrounds you, it holds you. The ship's end was this slow, agonizing siege. For 10 long months, the Endurance was frozen solid, just a prisoner in a sea of ice. The crew could do nothing but watch, as the pressure around them slowly, inevitably built up.
Can you just imagine the sound? The constant groaning and creaking of the ship's timbers as millions of tons of ice just squeezed the hull. It wasn't really a battle, it was more like a slow-motion execution. The brutal, grinding force just broke the ship apart piece by piece until it finally just slipped beneath the ice, lost for over 100 years. The absolute pinnacle of human technology was just no match at all for this elemental force.
So what do we have? We have a medieval army and a state-of-the-art exploration vessel, separated by centuries, but both defeated. Not by a human enemy, but by the environment they were in. So what does this actually tell us?
The circumstances couldn't be more different, right? One was all about military conquest, the other was about scientific exploration. But the story is exactly the same. Human ambition, armed with the very best tools of its time, was met by a simple, unbeatable weapon: the environment itself. And in both cases, the outcome was total catastrophe, a really stark reminder that nature often gets the final say on our grandest plans.
And this is why these stories really matter today. Because natural forces aren't just background scenery. They are active players in our history. They show us that our technology, our ambition, can be made completely useless. These events are more than just footnotes. They're huge cautionary tales. They remind us that for all our supposed power, we really exist at the mercy of forces far beyond our control.
Which of course leaves us with one final, kind of chilling question. Today we have supercomputers that can model the climate and satellites that can predict storms. But when the next big elemental reckoning comes, and it will come, are we truly any less vulnerable than those knights stuck in the mud or those explorers trapped in the ice? Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, then please subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss any updates.